Hello folks, welcome to Walkie, talkie. It's very windy, and it's been windy for the last, I would say, 2-3 weeks, just constantly. So let's talk about something. Glasgow city centre. Glasgow city centre has literally went to hell in a handcart, and we're not specifically talking about the fire at Glasgow Central Station, Gordon Street, Union Street, right? We're talking about two different things, and I'll try and explain it. It became public news that the top of town, Circuit Hall Street, where Driftwood is, starts all the way up there and goes all the way up to Buchanan Street, right? Several venues, as part of Women's Day, have signed up to this anti-banter pledge, right? And in some ways it does sound good, but there's a thing. If you have banter in one of these venues that have took up this, you'll be kicked out. Now, football banter you could possibly tolerate a wee bit until it clearly is about to escalate. Then you can kick out, that's absolutely fine. And what also has been discussed is a kind of man/woman banter type thing. It's a very, very difficult thing to police, to be honest, right? If a guy was being an arsehole towards a woman, kick him out immediately, right? Guys and girls are equally susceptible to making and participating in banter, so it's a very, very strong way of dealing with something that could be very subjective. It doesn't quite make much sense, but it kind of dries out as, go in, staunch-faced, order a drink, go put down, say hello, nice weather, if you're going to talk to another person. But once it escalates above that, you get very vulnerable to being kicked out, and that's terrible. Some girls are very banterous, and a lot more banterous than us boys, and some boys can be extremely banterous. It just depends on what walk of life you take and to get yourself to that point. Very, very, very many, probably higher than 90% of occasions of banter don't have any malice, don't have any sexism, doesn't have any of the other ISE, ISM, XIC suffix words. It's just a bit of banter. See, when things leave the kind of scope of banter and become problematic, it's like maybe physical contact, or name calling somebody, or trying to roast someone. That is when banter doesn't become banter. That's when banter leaves banter and becomes something a bit more offensive. And all guys out there should be able to be aware of when banter becomes offensive, and speak to the guy doing it, or lassie, might I say, and stand up and call it out. But it doesn't need a banter bar within pubs and clubs, right? And I've seen in the comments section for this, but something I'm telling you, guys are actually starting to become terrified of going out and having a drink with her pals, maybe a female pal as well, and everyone just generally becoming a little bit anxious of this, anxious of getting kicked out. And the whole idea of going to a pub or a club or whatever is actually to let your hair down, to talk to reasonably minded people, to have a good night, and at the end of the night walk your remaining friends up to the taxi rank or the bus stop and see them home safe. But it seems to be honest, this is inhibiting, or is it? It's incubating an atmosphere. No banter, no laughing, no having fun. That's illegal. Well, it's not illegal yet, but you know where I'm going with it, right? Having a bit of banter, having laughter, would leave them vulnerable to be kicked out. And of course it would be guys getting kicked out, although the girls may have started the banter. But yeah, I think it's an absolutely draconian bit of rule, and it was dressed up as something nice for International Women's Day. It's just weird, and it's going to incubate people going in unhappy, having a drink, getting unhappier, walk to the next place, almost in a surreal robotic fashion. And honestly, it's taking away the place to go and discharge from the world for a couple of hours. It's such a shame. And another shameful thing that's coming around, that's in place now, is the dispersal orders across town. Right? It covers so much of a range, I'm just calling it across town, because it actually does represent what I'm saying. Right? So, let's say for instance, you and your pal are waiting for his pal to come off the cross-country train in Central Station. This is all hypothetical, I know about the fire, etc. It's fine, don't worry. Right? And you meet him coming off the train, and you walk through Gordon Streets, and the police are kind of looking at you. Maybe you haven't seen the guy in a while, and you're excited to see him. 3, 2, 1, 6 cops surround you. They get your details, and they give every single one of you a dispersal order that lasts 60 days and goes on your permanent record. Right? So if you, 2 or more persons, walking through the streets of the town, maybe talking, maybe laughing, maybe just acting like fucking human beings, right? There's a very high likelihood, what I say, right, of police approaching you, taking your details, giving you dispersal notices of 60 days, and you all have to go your own separate ways back home. And in the meantime, because you've got a dispersal order on your name, when it comes to the works doing the criminal record checks, you've automatically lost your job. Right? Is that a reason that the general public hate the police and only approach police in a life and death emergency? Right? Yeah. I mean, I'm like many others, have met, I would call them Karens, right? Let's say, cause a bit of issue, right? And you stand up for yourself and call it out, and then 2 minutes later, you get a phone call or something from the police going, oh, you pointed actions out, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, that's a strong arming of police, surreptitiously, essentially wasting public money and police resourcing for that day to deal with something that was absolutely nothing, person got their actions shown up and they couldn't quite like it, so what they do is they try and contact the police, strong-arming him, and then the police turn around and say, no, this is not a police matter, away you go. Yeah, there are that group of people that still think the police serve some form of purpose. No, they don't. They're only there for the king, the money and state. Right? Everything else is pretty irrelevant to them. And the thing is, the public have to pay for that service every year. Like you have your gas, your electric, your water, stuff like that. And part of the council tax actually pays up for the police, fire brigade and ambulance, so using the police in that way just to get one back on the person for standing up to you is an absolute inappropriate way of conducting yourself. If you're so strong on the matter, the view is if you can get yourself into trouble, you can get yourself back out. You've got the mindset. But anyway, that's a rant that I could make much more protracted. But any old roads, yes. And it really does make the town, or visiting the town, a very unappealing idea. And it's just a shame, really. I mean, it's bad enough the fire happened. Worse still, the whole, anti-banter campaign, and then the police dispersal mechanisms. The question is, the town is actually a site of quite a few hospitals that specialise in surgery, NHS and otherwise. And if you're taking your pal home via taxi after receiving surgery and you've got all the paperwork to prove it, right, and quite a lot of people come out of the surgery fairly woozy, you're trying to get your pal into a taxi, police watch you, 2 people now, bear in mind 2 people, one of which is acting quite woozy. 3, 2, 1, dispersal order. Or maybe you get a dispersal order and he gets a fucking jail. Although he has done absolutely bugger shit wrong. It's just a horrible situation. Here's one, right. People that are in the army are coming back from E.G. Kettering. It's been a long day crisscrossing various trains to get to a service that goes Newcastle, Edinburgh and Glasgow, and it's a full family on the platform waiting for Steve Smith to come off his train cross country. And the doors open, everyone cheers, the police look at you, right? We need 10 police officers, it's a dispersal order special. Right, everyone? All of which have got dispersal orders just for welcoming back someone who is willing to fight for our king and country and our traditional British values. All get bloody dispersal orders just for welcoming the lad back. That's fucking terrible. It's absolutely terrible. No wonder nobody has a respect for the police. And to be honest, the police should ever only be contacted in the event of something escalating into violence, something being damaged, or something that could be in the lines of a threat to life. Every other excuse can go fuck yourself, and you can deal with your own way. If you can get yourself into trouble, you can get yourself back out. Anyway, folks, I'll head off now, and I'll catch you soon.